color wheels, and we are going to cover the primaries wheels. Now, what is primaries? Primaries is about the three primary colors. That is the red, green, and blue. And the secondaries are the magenta, cyan, and yellow. Please keep that in mind. Later on, we're going to use it. So that's why it's called primaries. So what are these wheels about? Remember, we talked about shadows, midtones, and highlights. So this is where you control them. On the left over here, you control the shadows. On the gain, you will control the highlights. In the middle, gamma, you will control the midtones. So it's so easy. Shadows, midtones, highlights. The offset, you will control all of them in a certain way. I will show you. You have two controls. You have the wheel over here that will control the brightness for the shadows. And the wheel over here, of course, under gain, will control the brightness, how bright are the colors within the highlights. You brighten or you darken the midtones. And then you have this small circle in each one of them. The circle, if you take it up or down, whatever direction you want, it will control the colors. It will add or remove certain colors. To reset, you can just click on the round arrow here and it will reset. Here you are. This is reset. And I can reset this one. So we'll use the left to control the shadows, gamma to control the midtones, and the gain to control the highlights. Let's do some correction if you like, so I can show you the rest over here. I will take these shadows down. Usually you always take these shadows down unless it's crushed. Okay, so I'm trying to achieve certain pure black here. It doesn't matter, just an example now. And I'm gonna take the highlight up. Now notice what's happening here. The highlights are not moving up. The whole graph is being stretched. Okay, guys? You notice how the stretching. So actually you are stretching more the red and green and blue all around the midtones and even the highlights. Notice also if you play again with the shadows, how you are trying to stretch or compress the colors. So let's say this is okay. Number 1 and number 2. Number 1 has the contrast. The contrast is white versus black. Notice how the contrast will stretch all your graph to get you more black and white. So the contrast try to achieve to give you maximum white and maximum black. And in between, it destroys all the midtones if you go too far, of course. You can double click on the contrast to reset it. Let me give it a certain value, for example, just like this. And you have the pivot. You notice the contrast started from this line, the middle line it starts. Okay, I'll do it again. Notice how it starts from the midline. Okay, notice these guys are not even moving. With the pivot, you change. You decide, okay, I want it to start from this line. You can get it 100%, but somehow. And you can get it up if you like. So you're starting from the upper lines. This is about the pivot. It's going to take some practice, guys. I will reset the contrast by double-clicking on the name. Then you have saturation. Saturation will add colors or remove colors. Notice what's going to happen to the graph here when I remove saturation. And the only color you have is a grading or a shading of black. You can increase and notice how the colors are going to spread. Very important. So you decide on the spread of the colors and hence you add more colors. So the red is living alone, the green is living alone on the graph, and the blue is living alone, so they are all shining and bright. I will reset that. Now you have the hue. The hue is like cycling among the colors. Notice the graph, what it's going to do. If I take the hue down, notice that it's changing towards another color. Notice like here you have the blue on top. You notice how the blue is on top and the image is blue. That's hue 0. If I cycle again, notice how now the other colors are coming on top. Here you are. Now the green is coming on top with some red, but the prominent green is on top, so the image is green. If you cycle even more, of course, you are going to go back now towards the secondary colors, and then, of course, you go back to blue on top. So this is about the hue. Let's go to number 2. You have temperature. Temperature will add the colors, will make it warmer or colder. If I increase temperature, notice what's happening. The red is going to be the highest in the graph towards the highlights, and then it's going to gain temperature. So adding temperature is about killing the blue and maximizing the red in the highlight. All this you can read from the graph. Now, if you take down the temperature on negative values, I think you guessed it, is the blue that's going to be very prominent and the red is going to be less prominent. So the blue will go towards the highlight and you will see a lot of blue, and the red will go towards the black, and you start killing the red, it's going to become somehow black. That's temperature. Tint is like temperature but milder, you will say. Notice what's happening here is, let's say, the fragile person here which is trying to change your colors but in a milder way. It just tints them. Still play on the graph to put one up. You have here the MD, the mid-tone details. You can increase the details of the mid-tones. Here you are. Notice how it's spreading. So I'm increasing the details of the mid-tones. Or you can decrease the details of the mid-tone. As simple as this. Notice how you kill the image is somehow blurred or something like this. So these are the mid-tones you're playing with. Color boost will just boost your colors. It means it's going to spread them in a certain way where they all have a certain place that will make everything shine. Too much is ugly, too little or negative, minus, you are back to black and white. Now you have the shadows. So we're going to play, of course, with the shadows. Notice I'm going to take all the shadows up and I'm going to take all the shadows down. There is a bit of stretching, but actually you are moving the whole graph towards highlights or towards shadows. So actually you're spreading the shadows up or down. HL is the highlights. It's going to do exactly like shadows, but a bit better. It's going to start stretching, compressing the whole image, but not getting more blacks if you notice. I will double click. So actually, after talking so much, this is all about color wheels. And if you want to reset everything, you just click on this round arrow here. It will reset the whole Primaries wheels. So the concept is very easy. Lift, you work with the shadows or the blacks. Gain, you work with the highlights or the whites. Gamma, you work everything in between. With what you learned in the previous two lectures about Primaries wheels, you can start color correction. Remember guys, color correction is not about fancy things. It's about just getting your colors to be correct. Meaning getting the whites to be whites, the blacks to be blacks, and then the midtones to be, in the range of the midtones. There are 3 steps to color correction. First step is adjusting the exposure. Second step is achieving white balance. And the third step is adjusting the saturation or adjusting the colors if you like. So let's start with adjusting the exposure. Adjusting the exposure means getting your whites or your highlights to be in the highlights levels. We are using the waveform here. And getting your shadows to be in the shadows level, as simple as this. And then getting your midtones to be balanced according to this dotted middle line over here. Let's do that. I will take the gain and I will lift the highlight. Here you are. So I'm taking whatever is supposed to be white in the picture, these are the highlights, and taking it towards the highlights up there. Okay, I'm gonna stop over here. Then we need to take the shadows or the blacks in the picture and take them down to be in the shadows area. So I'm gonna take the lift and go down, as simple as this. Cool guys? Now I can go far down. I don't like it. You notice how it became too black. Or I can do not far down, then it looks like faint. So let's go just over here. I'm gonna crush a bit this area. Now if you take it over here and put your scopes over here, and you notice that this area is over here. And it has from highlights, that's the sleeve, up to blacks here. I think we balanced it quite well because we already have it as, right black and right white. Now let's play with the midtones. I'm going to take the midtones up. Okay, look at the graph. I'm not looking at the image, I'm looking at the graph. Or down. Well, I think this is cool. What do you think, guys? It's quite balanced. Now we take a peek at the image. Remember, your monitor could be cheating you. So you want to rely on the graph. I can say that we achieved exposure here, not to bore you infinity to make it 100%. But you can come over and adjust the gain and the lift until you get exactly what you want. From the graph, of course. Now we want to achieve white balance. White balance is very easy. If you look over here, I'm sure you notice, if you don't have a black and white monitor, that the green and the blue and the red are separated. What I would like in this area is to achieve pure white, meaning I want the three of them, red, green, blue, to be aligned on top of each other. That means white balance. Only in this area. Don't try to do white balance in the shadows, okay? Just over here. What you can do here is to use the primary bars if you like to, or you can use the simple white balance just over here. It means you click on it and you go around in your image and decide what is 100% white. For example, the Steve over here. Here you are. Notice the alignment. This is before and this is after. You notice, guys? So just aligning them, as simple as this. It's not gonna have a movement, you know, not jumping around. That's the white balance. Now you have pure white over here, which is excellent. You achieve the second step, which is white balance. Now let's talk about saturation or colors. Obviously his hands are not natural. This guy is extremely white. Now it's time to adjust the color. You can start by playing with the saturation and take it up until a certain point where you are satisfied. But also, you look at your graph and notice how much you are spreading the colors. Okay, if I look at the red just over here, I know without looking at the image, I'm going too far now. Look at the red where it is. If I take it too down, I know now, okay, I messed up. That's black and white. So over here, I'm happy with that. If I take a peek at my image, it's cool. The skin is looking very well. Remember what we said in the vector scope. The skin is over here. Now, I'm not going to adjust this now, but you notice that I have some good results already. Not fantastic, but very good results. Let's go back to the parade now and notice what is white balance here. It means the red and the green and the blue are aligned. If you look at this line over here, this is the white balance line, okay? And they seem to me very aligned. Maybe I would want to shift the blue a bit up, but that's gonna cost me a lot on the image. So for now, this is how you do color correction. In summary, very easily, you fix the exposure and try to use the waveform, where you get the highlights to go up and the shadows to go down, so the whites are really white and the blacks are really black, and then you adjust the midtone here playing with the gamma. Then you achieve white balance using the picker over here. That's the easiest way. And then you start playing with the saturation. You want more colors? Very easy. Try to play with the contrast. Just try. It's not always the rule, but you can add, for example, the contrast. Oh, look how I'm opening the graph. And you won't get more colors, but you spread more the colors. I think this is beautiful somehow. Let's play the video and see exactly have we done a good job. Well, the colors here are not bad. His hands are looking cool, even the back of his hand. And then the green is a bit strong here, but it's okay. Notice the color behind. Quite cool. We have some dark here area. It's looking pretty fine. Here is okay. Behind the blur. Well, actually, guys, while talking to you, I achieved really a good color correction. And this is color correction, not more, not less. Don't add any LUT, don't add anything. Don't play with the offset too much, or the gain, or the gamma. Just make sure that this graph is looking spread, natural, and is looking like all the colors are balanced. Now we agreed that basic color correction is fixing, first of all, your exposure. You want to bring the highlights of your video towards the highlight zone, and you want to bring the shadows within your video towards the shadow zone down there. Now I showed you how to use the gain and the lift, and of course the gamma. There is an easier method in Resolve 15, is to pick one point that is pure white and one point that is pure black, and then the exposure will be adjusted according to these 2 points. Let's first try an example. I will go for the gain. You have this plus sign here. It says pick white point. So you want to pick a pure white point, not any white point. Point that has the most white within your frame. So you click on it, you select it, and you come to your video. Now there are many white points here. The sleeves, the neck over here, and maybe the other sleeve, and so on. And also you have white points just over here. The way I'll do it, I'll pick the white point from the main subject. I will not go to this area that is not important for the video or the context of the video. I will pick something from my main subject and decide exactly what could be 100% white. Let's say we pick the neck here and decide this is now 100% white. Let's go back to the picker and go back to the point, and you notice now the color has changed. It's now red 254, 254, and 254. So actually it's really white 100%. You can see it just over here. Let's go for the black. If you select the black, you want to select what is supposed to be pure black, 100% black, 000 for RGB. If you look at your image here, of course you can select this dot. That's not interesting. This is not on the subject. Select something that is important within your frame. For example, there is a shadow here. That's pretty interesting, by the way, because it's supposed to be 100% black. And if you look at the colors now, red is 75, green is 102, 109. So it's going to be quite some correction. But I will select this shadow here. Now this shadow has become 100% black. And notice I have almost a very good color correction. Maybe too dark because the way I picked this point. You can reduce it if you like. You can lift a bit the shadows. Okay, I'm looking at this area. This is not very important. Later on, I will grade it. And I'm cool with it. I can also reduce the gain. You find out I have too much white. Here you are. You're done. So using the pick white point and pick black point is a very fast way to adjust the exposure. From time to time, you would want to readjust again using the wheels over here. What I will do, I'm going to reset and give you a counter example. I will go for the gain. Now, what is white here? Sleeves, maybe they're not supposed to be white. So I'm going to go for something very white, this patch on the wall here, which you notice is not in my main subject, is not in my main frame. It's just on the side here. If I pick this one, notice now this area has become quite good with the white. Now I will go for black and decide, okay, this point here is supposed to be the black one. I will pick this one. It actually didn't work at all because I picked from somewhere that is not really good and is not about my subject. But you notice in this area, well, I got the very nice colors, but the guy here now is bluish. You have a blue cast. So actually it did not work. Let's reset and go back to choose from our guy. I will go for this leaf, for example. Not bad. I will go now for the shadow. Maybe I can choose this point here, but I'm sure they're not pure black. So the shadow here is the one I could find. If I go for the glasses are not pure black, guys. You know that very well. There is shadows, there is something like this, there is the glare of the light. So this point is still the best. It's too strong. So we'll take down the highlights, okay, just over here. And then we take up the shadows. Here you are. Well, that's pretty good. So actually you notice that these 2 points, picking them randomly does not work. You have to be a bit precise on how to pick them. Focus on your subject if this is what you want. Of course, from time to time, you want to focus, for example, on the horizon or stories like this. Within the color wheels, of course, the Primaries wheels is the go-to tool to adjust your exposure and get some white balance. But also there is the Primaries bars. The primary bars will work exactly like the primary wheels, but then you can control the primaries, red, green, blue, independently or all together. Usually when you're using the primary bars, you will not use the waveform. You will go to the parade, and of course you can see the red, green, and blue. Within the bars here, you can click and drag, so you can adjust the way you would like. Okay, I will reset. Or you can use the mouse scroll, and this is what I like. You can scroll up, and here you are. You're adjusting all the colors. This is the Luma channel here. It's all the colors. Notice that the bars for red, green, blue did not move. And this is quite interesting because you will notice that you did not adjust individually the red, green, blue. You're just adjusting the brightness for all the primaries. Now, of course, you can adjust the primaries one by one. I will take the green, for example, and lift it up. Okay, not exactly what you want. Or take the red down and the blue down if you like to. So you have a certain effect here. I will reset the whole primary bars. Now note, whatever adjustment you do in the bars, for example, I take the gain up. If you go back to the wheels, of course, it has already affected the wheels. Okay, they are all linked. Let's reset this one. If you come to the shadows, the same story happens. You can dig them all down. Okay, I'm using the mouse scroll, or you can take them all up, or you can play individually with each one of them. Here you are. Okay, so it's a pretty powerful tool if you are patient and you want to do a very good job. I will reset. The way to work here is, of course, to start with the gain or the highlights. You want to lift the highlights. Okay, here you are. I like using the mouse scroll. I don't like clicking and dragging. It's too speedy for me. So we achieved here some good highlights. We don't have white balance. If you notice, the red and the green and the blue are not aligned. Now, let's go to the shadows and take down the shadows. Here you are. Very nicely. You can come to the gamma if you like. You can adjust the gamma altogether if you want to. Take down a bit the shadows. Okay, I'm not even looking at the image at all. Now that I have the exposure pretty good, not fantastic, but it's pretty good, I want to adjust, of course, the white balance. Let's go to the waveform, and you notice it is not very good over here. These colors, I can see blue and the green and the red. We need to align them. The way to do it in the bars is to go back to Parade and make sure they are quite aligned. For example, in the highlights here, I could shift up the blue very slowly. Here you are. And you notice my graph is getting almost aligned, 100%. Maybe I'll take down the red a bit. I will try, or take it up. Here you are. They are aligned at almost 100%. Let's go back to the waveforms. And you notice here it's much better. I need maybe to work on the red. Go back to the Parade. The red is too high. I'm going to take the red a bit down, just like this. Really, using the mouse scroll, you're achieving very good color correction. The primary bars, my advice to you, are very powerful, and I advise you really to work with them. Don't go directly to the wheels. Now, the primary bars will present a challenge where you're looking at each primary color, and you want to adjust these, correctly. Let's go to gamma now and lift the gamma. Okay, something like this. Too bright. We go down a bit. We are quite cool here. I'm looking at certain colors, not bad. In fact, we have done a very good job. If you like to, for example, you can increase the red. Okay, now you are really color grading, not color correcting. Okay, or not. Okay, I'll bring it back to 0. Notice I'm reading the figures here while manipulating the bar with the mouse scroll. So actually, this is about the primary bars, and it's really very easy to work with. It's up to you to train a bit. It's up to you to make sure that you know how to use the primary bars. From time to time, I can assure you the Primaries wheels will not work for you. And you will have a cast, meaning one color that is above all the rest. You will have to come to the Primaries bars and adjust this color if it is red, green, or blue. Now, of course, you can come to the contrast and increase the contrast. I always like doing that. And maybe I increase the saturation. Okay, not bad at all. Well, I think I got some very nice colors. I'm looking over here. I got the yellow here, and I got all the colors here. And I hope, guys, you come over and start playing with the primary bars. Thank you. I will see you in the next lecture.